So hi televiewers, I'm not even sure if I should be calling you that. I'd like to introduce to you MJ, Linda. That's how I call her, and that's the way I would like you to get to know her. She's an amazing person. You will get to experience her depth, you'll get to experience her insightfulness, you'll get to experience why she's the one that's here today talking to me. This is a home production, so there may be a bit of rattling, people coming in, going out. Just bear with us. I want to keep it original. I'm trying to move away from the world of AI where everything's so perfect. AI is great, don't get me wrong. But I just don't want us to lose a bit of that originality. Look at MJ's smile. That is just a taste of the personality. She's just as radiant as she looks on the outside. That is how deeply profound and radiant she is inside. So, MJ, it's great to have you here. By the way, MJ is visiting from the US with her husband,
Thank you.
Guy. Two amazing people. I got to meet Guy for the first time after a very long time because I've known MJ now for a while. We've been working together in different capacities across the board, across the three spheres of life: personal side, relationship, and career. We call it purpose, you call it career, same difference, depends without much of a distinction. But MJ, it's amazing to have you here today. It's really an honor, and I just thought we'd have this conversation, given that this is the first time. This is not the first time we're meeting, but it's the first time we're meeting in an environment. It's really just us. The last time it was in Dallas. There was an entire family. She was inundated.
That's
and
correct.
She was in a sea of the rest of my family, and she came and she took the place hostage. She owned it. You would have thought I was the one visiting, and it's unbelievable. Anyway, MJ, it's amazing. It's great to have you here, and I just thought we'd have the conversation. MJ, tell me.
First of all, just want to thank you for the warm welcome. I feel extremely welcomed here. Here in Bracknell in the UK. We've come from the US visiting on holidays, so it's nice to be away. The break is nice. It helps clear the mind. And Mindset Boulevard. So, I think it's very intuitive, right? When you hear the word mind or the name Mindset Boulevard, what it's all about. But you can't take for granted that you know where that name came from and the origin. So can you tell us how you got inspired to come up with that name, Mindset Boulevard?
Yes, absolutely. I think that was an easy one to come by. I think of the mind like a runway where thoughts rally. Of course, thoughts come to life through the filter of words. And then we play with these in our mind, and it's almost like the mind is a field, as a runway. We play with these thoughts. They become our imaginations. They then morph into our dreams, our aspirations, and our wishes. Some of them take off and crash. Others take off and bear fruit. Ultimately, the mind is a place where we make and we break. It is a place where we build, create, and destroy our dreams. And that's how it all came to being. So seeing the mind like this runway, this road strip, this super highway. In the US, you call it the freeway, right? So that's the same concept. So you've got the physical entity, the road, the path, where we walk as we move from point A to point B. You have a similar concept in the mind, the construct of the mind, processing our thoughts, converting those thoughts into aspirations and dreams or fears, depending on how we are wired. And these then become, or they create our experiences, give those experiences meaning, and then there are outcomes at the end, outcomes which we then take back into the mind, process, and you've got the cycle going. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm focusing on the mind. I'm focusing on self. I'm focusing on purpose. I'm focusing on meaning. I'm focusing on value. Where does all of this happen? In the mind. All right. What are the building blocks? What is it that drives this entire ecosystem? What is it that brings it to the fore? What is it that determines what direction you go? Your thoughts. All right. What are the constructs that determine the building blocks of thoughts? Are words. Okay. Mindset Boulevard. And that just sealed it.
Okay. Runway, Boulevard. Those are wide open spaces.
Yes. I love the way you think. See, you talked about wide spaces, and it just tells you the freedom we have when it comes to thinking, the latitude. It is a wide spectrum, extreme negative, extreme positive. So there are no limitations to what you can do with the mind, and that is exactly what it is. It's a boulevard, it's a runway where you showcase who you are, what your aspirations are, where you're going, how you get there, why you're going there. It's all the same concept brought into one melting pot, so to say.
Yeah. So when I think of a runway, in my mind, I see airport. So that's where you have your planes come and take off. So that's just like the initial part of the journey. You have a long ways to fly and go and get to your destination. So I'm guessing the mind is just the beginning, and where you're trying to reach is the soul.
That's a beautiful way of thinking about it. I've not even thought about it this way. And yes, connecting these dots, so the mind is where you start and how you take off. So taking off is the most important part. See, because if you leave, say, Europe, and you're looking to go to the US, if you're off course by as little as 0.5 degrees, you may end up in Australia.
That's right.
So how you take off is of paramount importance. And then, of course, that journey, like you say, is ideally bringing you to connect with the self. Which brings us to the next question. Who are we? What is the self? So we've got this physical entity that we identify with as self a lot of the time. We give it a name. And then we respond to that name. But is that who we are? Because if I were to look at you, you are made up of different systems. And I have an acronym for the different systems. So there's movement, the skeletal system. There is excretion, the excretory system. There is respiration, the respiratory system. There is reproduction, the reproductive system. There is irritability, which is our ability to respond. That be your nervous system. And there is nutrition, which is the digestive system. And of course, there is growth. And when you sort of take a look at all these systems, it beggars belief. You ask yourself the question, which of these systems is energy? We've established that all these systems come together to form the entity that I can touch, I can look at, I can have a conversation with. But is that MJ? Clearly not, because the day, God forbid, you or I are pronounced dead, the body will still be there. But I just won't be able to relate and engage with it the way I'm relating and engaging with you. So where are you? And that's where the first journey begins. So we come in there and we ask ourselves, are you the nervous system? The nervous system seems to be the control center. It manages, it coordinates, it galvanizes, and it brings together all the different systems to ensure that they are working towards a concerted, a unified end, a defined purpose, and for the benefit of the ecosystem. So you're not any one of these systems we've rightly identified. and described. So who are you? Well, what else is there apart from the systems? There are organs. When you come to the respiratory system, you encounter the lungs, you encounter the heart. These are organs. So you would notice you have different organs that come together to perform similar related functions. And these organs constitute a system. Alright. So could we say a system and its organs define MJ? Absolutely not. Because then there are so many different systems. Do we then throw those other systems? Clearly we can't use systems and organs to define who you are. So let's continue. Let's take a deeper dive. Now, organs are made up of tissues. Epithelial tissue, skin tissue, and different tissues come together to form the organ. Okay, now that's interesting. And then we notice that behind the tissue are cells. Groups of cells performing similar functions come together, and they do this division of labor and specialization for different intents of purposes towards a defined end. And those groups of cells then form tissue. And then you go to the cell and you notice all cells have DNA. Now your DNA is a catalog of all the things that you can do, all the things that you can be, all the properties, characteristics that you can express, and the functions that define that eventually become or build into your abilities, your capabilities, your gifts, and your talents. They allow you to be able to do all the things that you're doing. They coordinate in concert to activate and to propagate the whole flight cycle when you're in a state of fright or excitement, when you're in a state of bliss or euphoria, like us all spending time together, going to bed last night at about 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We were all having a good time, releasing endorphins, oxytothin, dopamine, and serotonin. These are the feel-good hormones. That's the space everybody wants to be. We're gravitating towards that which feels good. Otherwise, we would be moving away from it. So, and all this is made possible thanks to our genetic constitution. So our genes carry the templates that have the code of life, what you can do, what is it that makes you unique from the next person. And of course we go into nature and nurture. So we're going in all these different directions and we have one goal. So it doesn't matter how far out we go to touch and impinge or introduce all the different bits and pieces that constitute and are part of this ecosystem. We're trying to identify, we're trying to find you. So it's important we don't lose focus. We're trying to find MJ. We've talked about the cells, we've talked about the genetic constitution, the genetic code. It's just a catalog, a warehouse of all the raw materials, the different things that you can do, the templates. They don't mean anything in and of themselves until they are expressed. So these are your cells, and we know that every cell has got the same genetic material, but they do different things. So the question we may want to ask ourselves is why? Then we notice that every cell at the beginning of life is a stem cell, which means it can differentiate into any other cell. A nail cell, a hand cell, an arm cell, eye cell, nose cell, tongue cell, ear cell. So a cell takes on a particular property depending on what environment it finds itself in.
And I guess you can relate that to the mind, right? The mind takes on a certain way of thinking depending on what environment it is in.
Absolutely.
Right. So if the mind finds itself in a particular environment which is not conducive, and it's been in that environment for an extended amount of time, how do you get that mind to transform, to morph and become more conducive?
That's an interesting thought. Let's come to that once we've found you, because that pivots right back to the question you've just asked. So we've come to the cell. Notice we eventually got to the point where we identified the cell, and we're looking for you in that cell. We go in. Each cell is made of, again, an environment therein. You've got the cytoplasm, Golgi apparatus, you've got the nucleus, then you've got the genetic material within the nucleus. And then so you notice, then you've got DNA and RNA. And we go further and we realize that your DNA unfolds, unwraps, becomes RNA, and RNA then attaches to typically your ribosome to create amino acids, which then become the proteins that fold to give the different tissues and organs their particular abilities, capabilities, functions, and all whatnot. So the reason I insisted we stay with this initially is because the environment you just described is the external environment. Notice now we're talking about an internal environment
that
true. Equally needs to be in balance. There's a homeostatic balance that needs to exist for the individual to be ascribed the property we call healthy. And if that individual is not healthy, if there is discord, if there is conflict internally, it usually typically translates into external conflict, which brings us to the question that you asked. Somebody is in an environment that is not conducive to their well-being. How do they turn that around?
Yes.
So it's exactly what the body does. So you've got this cell that is in a certain milieu. If there are toxins in that milieu, the body is doing everything that it can to eradicate those toxins. There are physical toxins, noxious agents, external, so bacteria, viruses, all these agents that come into the body and they inflict the body, they impact, they affect the body, they infect the body. They need to be gotten rid of. There is another kind of infection which is born of our thought processes. So you have an experience. That experience is agnostic. It means absolutely nothing until you and I give it meaning. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Are there any questions?
That makes perfect sense.
Any questions you'd like to ask? Anything you'd like me to? So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Brilliant. So you notice that the cell is reading the environment and asking itself if that environment is conducive for its well-being as an individual. The cell's membrane, by the way, is the brain of the cell. But for as long as the cell is part of the body, it relegates that property, that authority, to the central nervous system, which is a group of cells that are responsible for coordinating all the different activities that are orchestrated within the organism.
Makes sense.
Ensuring that the different systems are talking to and coordinating and cooperating with one another. Because the input of one becomes the output into the next.
Totally.
And so eventually that cycle completes the different characteristics of the human being that ensures self-propagation, growth, which is what we talked about. Now, for growth to happen, you need to be able to move from point A to point B. The skeletal system assists you to do that. Then you need to be able to get rid of waste, excretion. The excretory system does that. Because if you stay with that waste in your system, it creates a toxic internal environment. Same as you could be in an environment that is not conducive to growth. If you're in the ghettos, for instance, that's a toxic environment. And you want to ensure that you know who you're getting close to. In fact, you are cautious, you suspect everybody around you. Everyone is guilty until proven innocent. If you move into a more conducive environment, where people are friendly, people are outgoing, and they support one another, and there's community, then the tendency is for you to assume everyone to be an angel until they prove themselves to be the demon.
Makes sense.
So you notice that the environment, and then meanwhile, in that ghetto as well, there are people who thrive in it. Take them and put them in a very conducive environment where there is peace, order, tranquility, camaraderie, and compassion. They will literally die.
Yeah.
So you notice the environment in and of itself means absolutely nothing until we give it meaning.
Yes, and wouldn't you say that goes along with some predisposed wiring of the person? Then, as the example you gave, if you take example of somebody being in the ghetto and thriving there, and you put them in a more, what we would think of an ideal, conducive environment, and they don't thrive, how would you explain that? Wouldn't it be based on, I don't know, predisposed wiring, or I'm not sure. How do you explain that?
Absolutely. So this is an interesting one, and it touches on so many. So you talked about conditioning. So you touched it right there. Just as we have different systems, and these systems have been programmed to do different things based on the internal environment and what is required for survival. These things are done as reflex actions. You don't think about breathing, do you? Until I mentioned breathing, it didn't occur to you that you breathe. Now try to stop breathing for 5 minutes. Could we just take a break and then stop breathing for 5 minutes and rest from that breathing that you have to do every single day? If you did that, it would be game over. Right? But you're never really consciously breathing. The moment you start breathing consciously, as in you're thinking about it, okay, I'll take a deep breath now. Okay, I will breathe out. Okay, I'll pause, I'll stop. Okay, I'll accelerate it. You get tired immediately.
Yeah.
It is so draining.
Yeah, except you're swimming.
Except you're swimming, absolutely. We don't want to breathe when we're swimming, absolutely. So, yes. So you notice, now we're in this fray where certain things, when you do something routinely, after a prorated period, it becomes a program. You're wired to just do that thing. There are triggers in your environment that will set off different programs at different times, subject to what it is your subconscious is trying to achieve. Ultimately, you know it is about survival.
Yes, ultimately.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yes.
So
and then that's where the wiring comes in. You have learned how to survive in that environment. You can read threat, and you know how to adapt and adjust to that threat to make it go the other way. And if you couldn't make it go the other way, then you know how to turn that into prey if you are the predator. That's the environment you live in, where everything that presents itself is potential danger. Imagine I take you out of that environment to a place where there are no threats. You will still take with you the triggers of that environment. You will see those same triggers, or what appears to be those same triggers, in this other environment. The only difference would be in this environment, those switches, when you swat them, things that look like triggers, they are more welcoming. They are doing different things in this environment. So you see the same switch there. When it turns the lights on, different things are happening. When that switch turns the light on here, people are coming together, they're embracing each other, they are exchanging gifts, they are supporting one another. Whereas when the lights go on there, you can see the enemy, you're taking out your gun, you're pointing, and you're shooting. So you come here, that program wants to run here. Because chaos is what you know, you end up creating chaos here, just so you can survive.
So now you have to shift your mind.
You have to shift your mind.
Yes.
You have to take the new environment, you have to study it, you have to understand that the dynamics are completely different. It's a bit like taking a cactus from the desert and planting it in an evergreen forest. It will literally die. It wakes up in the morning. What it expects to see and to receive, to embrace and to entertain is the scorching heat of the sun impinging upon it. It doesn't expect too much water, and in fact it doesn't expect water at all, because it knows it needs to store its own water. It has got a different process by which it is designed to extract water from the atmosphere and then to store that water, and that is what it knows, because where it is growing, the soil on which it is growing has very little water to offer it, and that's adaptation. Then all of a sudden it comes to a place where it wakes up in the morning, there's rain. Before it goes to bed at night, there's rain. You and I need water, right? What happens if I open your mouth, I put a hose in it, and I crank the tap open, and I feed you that water in a gush? What happens to you?
It's overwhelming.
It'll kill you.
Yeah.
But you need water to survive. So it's the same concept. We need what we want, or we need what we need in doses that we can handle. And the dose that we can handle is the one that our environment has conditioned us to take in for the purposes of our survival. Again, based on that environment and the way it is configured.
Yes. So now there is a case of moving from one environment to another and shifting your mind, I guess, to reflect the positivity of that new environment. However, there is the case where you're still in that initial environment and that mind has to shift. So how do you achieve that?
If you're in an environment and your mindset has to shift, so there's typically a number of things that are going on. When you define an environment as hostile, there are two things, there are two roles you can play as an individual. You can see yourself as part of the solution, or you can see yourself as a victim. When you see yourself as a victim, you become entitled.
Or complacent, maybe? No? Entitled?
You will become complacent. So complacency, all right, let's be careful how we use the words here, because complacency is the beginning of resignation. And when you resign yourself to a situation, you then become the victim. Poor me.
Okay.
There's nothing I can do about this. I'll just suffer. And everybody's having one over me. Everyone is using me. I'm this unfortunate thing. I'm helpless. And of course, entitlement. And then you become part of the problem.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So those are the two routes we can typically go. And for someone who has chosen the route of becoming part of the problem, who has chosen victimhood, they use that as their weapon. It's an excuse for bad behavior, compromising behavior, counterproductive behavior. After all, look at my circumstances. How dare you blame me? Why don't you come walk a mile in my shoe, and then we can have this conversation again? So that is the mindset. So for that person, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're not changing anytime soon. They will become the problem that keeps that environment what it is. And again, they actually become addicted to that environment because they gain a lot out of complaining. That is how they gain and get their own attention, when they whine, wane, and whinge. Because people are listening, and they're just listening to their sob story, and oh, poor you. And by the way, they've got an alibi, an excuse to execute and to thrive in this bad behavior. That is their excuse. So what happens if you take that excuse away from them? You will notice they will continue in that behavior because that is what they know. That's their programming. That's their conditioning.
Yes.
So taking someone out of an environment into a more peaceable environment is not even the beginning of the solution. Because beyond a certain point, the environment is not the problem. The conditioning, the wiring, and the programming become the problem.
So now we have to figure out how to unwire, how to uncondition.
100%. You need to build new programs. You need to do that rewiring. You need to teach them how to reframe, because that is all that it is. You've trained yourself to see a situation and to read it in a certain way. And this is where, again, the whole concept of Mindset Boulevard kicks in. Or CBT, they call it all different things. Or talking therapy. No, it's just a conversation. It's not therapy. So we end up making everything out to be something bigger than it needs to be. The reason you came to the UK, you traveled all the way from Manchester to come to Prague now. I'm sure you know many more people in the UK, yet you decided to spend time in pretty much 2 homes, if I understand that correctly. That was not random. You planned your trip and you plotted these 2 homes in your map. Part of the tapestry, the fabric of the experience you wanted to have. You handpicked these people because of what you knew you were going to get from those environments.
That's right. That's correct.
There was absolutely no coincidence there. So the challenge of obviously almost is, how do you get that person to look at their environment differently? In your case, it was positive. You went there. Now, what if I had been this horrible person in the past, and today I am this person? Imagine you're someone who knew me in my past. You didn't know the side that you know today. All you know is who you knew way back then when we were growing up. I would not necessarily be on your list. And even if someone told you, hey, no, this is BK. You're going to the UK? You're not spending time with BK? Then you've not been to the UK. Do you hear how that sounds? You've been to the UK? You're not spending time with BK? You've not been to the UK. You've not gone to the UK. It's been a wasted trip. You got to go see BK. And you'll be like, that's right. And you'll be like, no, thank you, no thanks. So you're both white. You just have different frames of references.
Yeah.
But if you sat with this person long enough, then your frames of references will coalesce. There will be an overlap. And before long, you'll be doing exactly as they said. At least you'd give benefit of the doubt. Something has shifted. So therapy is the ability to take someone who's been in the dungeons, who has been in the dumps, and to shift their perspective. Get them to shift those mental gears by adjusting their processing so they can assimilate that experience in a slightly different way. Look at the same picture, but get a completely different impulse from it. See a different image, have a different focus.
Would you say the mind on its own has that ability to make that shift?
The mind on its own, no. So your mind is an operating system. It is no different from your laptop. Beautiful laptop. Yes. It's no different from your laptop. So your mind is a transducer. It translates spiritual energy into physical energy. And of course, because it's an operating system, whatever programs you run in it are the programs that will run. If you run viruses, you get viruses. If you run productive programs, you run Word, you get
That's a good analogy.
You run pornography, you get pornography.
Thinking about the mind as an operating system.
It is. That's all that it is.
Just a bare operating system, and now we tag things along, tag different apps along, tag different programs along.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It is agnostic. No, it doesn't care. It's there to serve. It does what you ask it to do. If you ask it to connive with you, to kill you, it will do that. If you ask it to connive with you, to serve you, it'll do that. That's why we have things we call affirmations. You're creating a program and running it through that operating system and hoping that that program then sends out its field, it sends out its signals, its vibrations to the rest of the body, to the rest of the cells of your body. So it's vibrating at that frequency of positivity. And don't forget, that positivity is a frequency, same as music. There's some music, there are certain bars of music you listen to and your body just starts moving. There are others you listen to and you're going exactly. So notice the music in and of itself, all it's doing, it generates energy, frequencies, wavelengths. That's it. Where you have frequencies and wavelengths, you've got energy. Either in waveform or in particle form, vibrating, and there's resonance. You pick up those vibrations, you respond to those vibrations. And that is all that is happening. So when you say in your head, I am a winner, you've put out a vibration. And then you broadcast that vibration to every cell of your body. Now, your cell doesn't understand language the way you and I do. I am a winner or I am a loser. No, but it responds to the energy that has been put out. So it is the energy that is responding to. It is not the actual word in and of itself. Oh, and this brings me to something else. Prayer. One person would pray and people will get healed. Another one would pray until the cows come home to roost and nothing is happening. And you ask yourself, but it was the same prayer. Why did it? Because the words in and of themselves mean absolutely nothing. The intention with which those words are uttered, the power that is packed into the container that you call the word is what gives it its energy. It's what gives it its potency. So if you don't believe in what you're saying and you're reciting words, those are just empty containers. They mean absolutely nothing. For instance, if I say you're a very good friend, we're very good friends, and that's why you're here. And if I say, MJ, I care about you, that has a certain resonance with it. Now, if I said, MJ, I care about you. You're laughing. It has a completely different resonance to it. The same words. And sometimes someone can actually be looking at you and telling you they care about you. But you can see through that no. They just want something else. Another person says it and you melt. Exact same words. But then the frequency, the vibration, different.
Yeah.
And your cells will pick it. It did not sound genuine. What? But no, it looked genuine to me. Someone else is telling you, but it looked genuine to say, there was something about it. I don't know what it is. It just did not. Or somebody walks into a room, they don't say anything. You just love them. Another one walks into a room, they've said absolutely nothing. And they both did the exact same thing. Walked to one end, walked out. One you fall in love with. The other, you're like, you can't stand it. No, let them just keep their distance. What's going on? We're communicating all the time. We're putting out vibes. The thoughts that are going on in our minds are vibrations. And like electricity, we send that static, we send that energy, we send that field out.
Yes, and that field.
So someone around you will pick up that field because they've got the tools to interpret what you're putting out. You're not putting them out in words, you're sending them out as signals. The remote control signal. You go, I can't punch a button on the remote control for this TV and the one upstairs responds. Because these two have been paired. They're listening in for each other. Now our transducer, the brain, remember, every cell has got a receptor. I call them taste buds. You can taste food. You can taste the environment through sight. You taste the environment through what you hear. You taste the environment exactly what you smell, just as you can taste the environment with your tongue when you eat food. So these are perceptors.
Okay.
These are perceptors. On these perceptors, there are receptors. And these receptors allow you to engage effectors that would then give you an opportunity to respond to a situation.
So, where do you see Mindset Boulevard going in the near future?
Where do I see Mindset Boulevard going in the near future? I see Mindset Boulevard, growth within Mindset Boulevard is unilateral. It goes in one direction, a bigger platform to be able to reach more people. As simple as that.
Okay.
One conversation at a time, one symposium at a time, one workshop at a time, one intervention at a time. Notice I did not say session.
So how would you define a session as opposed to an intervention? Or how would you define an intervention as opposed to a session?
An intervention is exactly what we're doing. We're having an engagement, we're having an interaction. It may have a purpose, it may not have a purpose, but underlying it is a purpose. So sometimes we define purpose. At other times we allow nature to do what nature is doing. Like this conversation. We didn't have a plan for this conversation. We agreed we were going to have a conversation.
Yes.
We agreed where we would start. And the hope was it was then going to take a life of its own and go when it needed to go. And we would get out of the way and allow a bigger force to do what it chooses to do through us. So that is exactly how I see Mindset Boulevard. I'm a vessel, so I don't get to pick and choose on or to decide. All I want to do is reach out to people and bring them to a place of self-awareness, enough for them to find purpose, so they can become enlightened enough to go out there and self-actualize.
So there are, we live in the big world, right? So if you had to say that this type of person in this type of situation would be most ideal to benefit from Mindset Boulevard, how would you categorize, who would be the most beneficial? Or is it just anybody having any kind of issue? Or
let me rephrase that question. Who needs oxygen?
Okay, that answers the question. Okay, everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I don't want it to be some cliche like I was trying to avoid the question by saying something that sounds so obvious. It introduces me to something that I'm very passionate about, which is the nicheless niche. The nicheless niche is a concept that reminds you that you are not your problem. You are not your symptom. You are not the situation you lived yesterday. You are not an experience. You are not your faults. You are not your failings. You're not your trials. You're not your tribulations. You're not your iniquities. You're not your shortfalls. You're not even your gifts, your abilities, your capabilities, and your talents. You're not your successes. You're not all the accolades that you have received. You are not the people that you know. You are not the things that you own. You are bigger than all those things, the core of your essence. And if you don't know what that is, then you've not started living. It gets so dangerous because it is easy to be acting you instead of living you. So you're doing what you were called to do, but you're doing it for someone else. So you end up hating what it is you were called to do because you were doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, or you're doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. The only time you really connect with self is when you're doing the right thing for the right reasons. And that is where Mindset Boulevard comes into place and into play. Because it cuts across all three spheres of life, as Tony Robbins would tell you. There's a personal space which you and I have talked about and we keep talking about on a daily basis. That is everything that you do, all the things, all the steps that you take to be alive. Recovery, to stay healthy. The things that would excite you. But notice you're the one benefiting from them. You go jogging, your prayer, you go dancing, your hobbies, mountain climbing, bungee jumping, skydiving. It's all you. It has nothing to do with anyone else. And move out of that space, you've got your relationships, which is your ability to interact productively, interact in a resourceful way, exchange energies, build synergy from those interactions. So when you come into an interaction, your sole motive, purpose, objective, intention is to leave that space better than you found it. And you make that your responsibility. You don't push it on someone else. And then of course there's the self-actualization space. People call it career, you and I call it purpose. Because that's what it is. If you end up in a career, if you end up in a job that requires you to function as a nail, whereas you are a hammer, we have problems. You will be a problem to that organization, and you will be a problem to yourself.
Yes.
And yet, when you go out into the world, that's your role, that's your rule, it's not the exception. Hammers admiring nails, nails admiring hammers. That's good. Love each other. The sacred book says it. When the hammer starts living the life of a nail, and a nail starts living the life of the hammer, confusion.
Yes.
Conflict, envy, avarice, jealousy, conceit, and everything caves in. Cameroon would be your example. Cameroon is fraught with the right people in the wrong places and the wrong people in the right places. So the whole country implodes because greed becomes master. And everyone, including those who are operating in those roles, embrace servitude. And who do they serve? Greed.
Yeah, I actually thought about Cameroon when we were talking about the example of we're talking about the environment and how one can become, either you go along with it and become a victim, or you do your best to, I guess, come out on top of it. So yeah, that made me think about Cameroon as well.
To become the lotus flower.
Exactly.
Have I talked to you about the lotus flower?
You've talked about it before. Yes.
That is beautiful. So you've got, for our audience who may not know anything about the lotus flower. So we're talking about you come to this place, it's all murky, it's mushy, it's gooey, it's slippery, muck and mire. It is the worst place. Sort of place you fell in, you wouldn't even want to come out because your whole body crawls. You just want to die. And then you see this plant. All of a sudden, it comes out as a shoot, and then it blossoms with golden white petals reflecting the sun incandescently across the horizon, four corners of the earth. And you're like, such beauty. And you approach this plant and you go, gosh, how can you be this beautiful in spite of your environment? And she looks at you with a gentle smirk. She goes, I'm not beautiful in spite of my environment. I'm beautiful because of my environment. So, this is all about big picture thinking, not majoring in minor things. It is easy to look at the things that distract you and not realizing that between those distractions are all the bits and pieces, the building blocks, the raw materials that you need for your growth. And if you can just pick those up, then you would realize that the environment is there to support you, regardless of how it looks, regardless of how it feels, regardless of how it tastes. Everything that is there is a teacher, and every teacher comes with a lesson, and every lesson is designed for you in that environment. Otherwise, you would not be there. And then you would go, BK, come on. How can I be seeing this thing here? And I know that it is not good for me. And you're telling me it is teaching me a lesson. In fact, if it were not there, my life would be better. And I tell you, no, MJ. If it is disturbing you, if its presence is causing you so much grief, then you've got a lot to learn. Because it is minding its business successfully. Why can't you mind your business?
Yeah.
What is it is trying to teach you?
Yeah, and I can identify with what you're saying when it comes to my journey with Mindset Boulevard. One of the things we talk about, not being distracted by the minor things, a lot of distractions, which if you focus on, you can easily get derailed. But being able to see the important things or the obstacles that come our way, being able to, I mean, they're there for a reason, and eventually they'll lead to growth, depending on how you view them. So we've had those conversations before, and I guess, yeah, it's a matter of perception. If you perceive the obstacle as something you'll stumble over and it would kill you, then that's what it's going to do. But if you perceive it as something which you have to overcome and it makes you stronger and you get to the other side, then when you get to the other side, then definitely you're going to be someone of more character, and the next time you see an obstacle, it's not going to look as huge, you know, it's just going to have dealt with this before, or what is this? It's going to come and pass, just like anything else. So, yeah, so I for me personally, that's what I've been benefiting from with Mindset Boulevard. So,
I tell you all this story. See, whenever we had to work together, I needed to make sure there were no hammers, there were no spoons, teaspoons, tablespoons, cooking spoons in the vicinity, because otherwise they might start flying. And the first time I told MJ, yeah, no, you are the problem.
That was a tough one to swallow. True talk, real talk.
He came with this nice sob story. And, oh, this was happening. Oh, this person had done this. Oh, this had done there. Oh, oh, this is nothing was. I said, yes, of course you are. Yeah, I hear you, and you are the problem. If I survive that experience, I don't think there's anything that I did survive that experience. But long and short of it all was, so what Linda's saying is, we got to a place, a headspace, a mindset where she used the word obstacles, and there are obstacles in life. So anything in front of you, everything in your way is an obstacle. Now, we define these obstacles in one of three ways. If we see a problem, we make a U-turn. We avoid it at all costs. If we see a challenge, right, we're more agnostic about challenges. Right, I'll challenge myself to do a marathon. You're doing it for fun. If you don't get through it, all right, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. You try again. That emotional investment may or may not be there. But it's not going to cost you anything. And of course, there's the opportunity where what used to be an obstacle becomes a stepping stone. And you actually realize, this is not what I thought it was from the outset, from the onset. Which is why you look at your lives today, look at your own life. Don't take my word for it. Go back into your world. Go back down the corridors, entrance and exit ramps. Go through the tapestry of your existence, your being. You will notice there are things which yesterday you couldn't stand, and today they are the springboards from which you attain your dreams. Ask yourself, what happened? It is that same math that you couldn't stand. Today, statistics is your best topic. Why? Because you're using statistics to answer questions that matter to you. And because of that, you approach, you embrace, and you hold and look at math completely differently. You've come to a place where you realize math is just English in numbers. And it's a beautiful place to come to. When you realize there's absolutely nothing outside of you that can put anything in you. The things outside of us just bring out from within us what it is that we carry on the inside. Very difficult message.
Very difficult message. I was thinking that even before you said it. Yeah, when the rubber meets the road, when it's time to implement, then that's when you know what you actually truly believe.
Absolutely. The truth comes out.
Yeah.
And that is that moment of truth. That's when you decide whether you're going to roll your sleeves, take the reins, step into your power and take control, or you're going to make me the problem. Or you will make me the problem, or your neighbor the problem, or your auntie the problem, or your grandfather the problem, or your spouse the problem, and not have to deal with it. It is very convenient, and it is very enticing, so seductive, because you will have 1,000,001 reasons why they are the problem. So, looks like the police are here, the government is here. Yes, government. We have been ordered to stop and to go eat.
It's been wonderful. Thank you, VK, for this session. We'll pick up another time.
Absolutely.
Yes,
pleasure.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have to get to talk about our journey together. That'd be
Yes,
interesting.
we will.